Boom! What's going on, everybody? I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and this is Toy Talk. The first dream car appeared in 1938 when the Buick Y-Job was shown to the public. Concept cars have always been with us, but in the 1950s, Harley Earl, a General Motors vehicle designer, invented the idea of the concept car, a car or truck of futuristic design. He wanted to obtain the customer's reaction to a new and radical exterior design and to new interior innovations. As you know, these exceptional cars and trucks are shown annually at special car and truck shows, like the Detroit Auto Show. Most, if not all, of these vehicles were never ever intended to be mass produced. However, a lot of their interior innovations were, and they made their way into new models of cars and trucks in future years. General Motors popularized the idea of dream cars, or known today as concept cars, in their traveling exhibit called Motorama, and they did this back in the 1950s. One of the most significant contributions the concept cars made came in 1951 when General Motors LeSabre, a concept car designed by Harley Earl, helped introduce a 12-volt electric system. Before that, 6-volt electric systems were standard on cars, trucks, and tractors. The LeSabre also introduced the aluminum 215 cubic inch V8 engine to the GM product line. The story of the three famous GM Firebirds really began in the 1930s. GM R&D did a lot of research on the feasibility of gas turbines for powering cars and trucks. In the 1950s, GM began building an actual turbine engine. Emmett Conklin, he led the turbine engine development project. Harley Earl, chief GM designer, developed a series of 3 concept cars. Harley's designs resulted in the 3 GM Firebirds. The Firebirds were built and completed in the years of 1953, 1956, and 1959. A 4th Firebird was planned, but it was never built. The Firebirds were first shown to the public at the General Motors Motorama events in the 1950s. The Firebird turbine-powered cars were never intended to reach production, much like the turbine-powered HT340 tractor International built never saw production. The Firebird series of 3 cars was an R&D engineering research project to see if turbines could efficiently power an automobile. A gas turbine engine is a much simpler engine than a standard piston engine. The gas turbine engine, or combustion turbine, is a type of continuous internal combustion engine. The main elements common to all gas turbine engines are: number 1, an upstream rotating gas compressor. Number 2, a combustion chamber. Number 3, a downstream turbine on the shaft as a compressor. And number 4, a turbofan to convert power into mechanical energy. For our purposes of discussion, this general information is all we really need to know about gas turbine engines. I only mention this because so many people think they are much more complicated than they really are. GM R&D developed the 3 Firebirds, each slightly more exotic than the preceding. Briefly, I'm going to give a short overview of each. Firebird 1, looked very much like a jet fighter plane, only it had 4 wheels and was confined to the ground. Firebird 1 could only seat the driver in his jet-like cockpit. Norev, they made a die-cast model of Firebird 1. They made it in 1/64 scale, so it's pretty tiny. But they did a great job replicating Firebird 1. It has a die-cast body and some plastic ancillary parts. It also rides on soft rubber tires. The cockpit canopy shows off the single seat. And at the back you can see the jet turbine exhaust. They did a pretty nice job making Firebird 1. Firebird 2. It looked more like a normal car, only it possessed a much more radical design. The air intakes protruded in the front of the car and looked like aviation weapons. This Firebird could seat 4 people in bucket seats. Norev, they also made Firebird 2. And they did it in 1/64 scale and die-cast metal to go with Firebird 1. It shows off the bubble canopy with the 4 seats inside. Pretty nice design. It has soft rubber tires on free-rolling wheels. You can also see the 2 intakes, which do look like aviation weapons. Then on the back, you can see the dual turbine exhaust. Great design and a great model of it. Firebird 3 was perhaps the largest of the 3 Firebird models. Imagine a 2-passenger car with 2 cockpit bubble covers keeping the passenger and the driver separated. Norev, to complete the set of Firebird vehicles, they made Firebird 3, also in 1/64 scale and die-cast metal with some plastic parts. The tires are soft rubber and they roll pretty nicely. And this one shows off that really neat design feature, the double bubble cockpit. Also, the great winglets and wings that they put on the design. And that makes the set of 3 GM Firebird vehicles that Norev made. All 3 in 1/64 scale. Now let's take them one at a time. Firebird 1, the 1953 XP21. It was the first gas turbine-powered car tested in the United States. A single-seat, aircraft-type cockpit with a jet-styled canopy, a jet-styled fuselage made entirely of fiberglass, short wings, and a vertical tail fin. The body design was futuristic to say the least, but entirely impractical. However, it was for research, not for sale. Its intended purpose was to test the components of the turbine engine and drivetrain, plus a few other features. Remember, fiberglass just became available for use and was used to make the body of the International HT340 turbine tractor. Fiberglass is very common in use today, but in the 1950s it was a radical new material. Harley Earl, GM's Vice President of Styling, designed Firebird 1. His design was aircraft inspired, using a fiberglass reinforced plastic body. For power, he used a Whirlfire turbo power engine, built under the direction of Charles L. McEwen, General Manager of GM Research Laboratories Division. Whirlfire turbo power engine was capable of 370 horsepower at a speed of only 13,000 RPMs. Firebird 1 used a power turbine acting on the rear wheels via a transmission. 1956 comes along, and with it comes out Firebird 2. The General Motors Firebird 2 a gas turbine-powered concept car was shown at the 1956 General Motors Motorama event. Seating 4 passengers, the Firebird 2 was a dream or concept car designed for a family of 4 to use on the highway. Firebird 2 had many new innovations, including a regenerative gas turbine power plant, all-wheel independent suspension with automatic load leveling, fiberglass body, power disc brakes, a 12-volt alternator instead of a generator, a special magnetic key, a state-of-the-art electric gear selection, and, get this, individually controlled air conditioning. Besides all this, Firebird 2 was considered the world's first self-guided car. A family of 4 could play board games while the car rolled down the highway. Wires embedded into the pavement sent signals to the twin cones at the front of the car. These were to control the speed, the braking, and the steering of the car. The idea really worked. Well, as long as the car stayed on the GM test track. Firebird 2 was the only Firebird to have 2 identical cars built. One had a titanium skin, and it was not operational. The operational version had a fiberglass skin, and it had a turbine drivetrain similar to Firebird 1. Firebird 2 was truly a dream car by Harley Earl. Think about the features in our cars today. Many of those ideas and innovations in our cars today originated with these dream cars of yesterday. 1959, Firebird 3 is made. It is a 2-passenger car having a turbine power plant. Firebird 3 is the most radically designed of the 3 Firebirds, featuring a double bubble cockpit, multiple winglets, guided by an aircraft-inspired control system, besides a primary 225 horsepower Whirlfire GT305 gas turbine engine. Firebird 3 possessed a 2-cylinder, 10 horsepower gasoline engine. This engine provided the electrical power for the accessories. The unit control is a console-mounted knob that allows both the driver and or the passenger to control steering, acceleration, and braking, all with just a twist of the wrist. General Motors' 3 Firebirds remain the most famous of the many concept cars GM has created over the years. You can view Firebird 1 and 3 if you want to travel across the country to Jay Leno's garage. Jay Leno owns Firebirds 1 and 3. Firebird 2 is located at the General Motors Heritage Center in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Weren't those real dream cars and the scale models cool? Norev made the models in 64th scale, and to go along with that, I've created a report on scale. Go on and grab your free copy at the link in the description below. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified of all of my future videos. I truly, really appreciate each and every one of my subscribers. Thanks for watching. I'm Logan, the 64th Gear Jammer Skeele, and this is Toy Talk.